My Lords, I begin by referring to the first sentence of this statement, which says that freedom of navigation has been a cornerstone of civilization since time immemorial. Now, this is a principle that was codified in the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea in 1982. It was not broadly accepted until well into the 19th century, and in fact the Dutch imposed it on us by the Treaty of Breda and the Treaty of Westminster in 1667 and 1674 respectively. Would the Noble Earl the Minister agree with me that historical accuracy, sobriety of language and avoidance of hyperbole is important in an approach to foreign affairs at all times, but particularly given the state of the world today? And drawing on from the points just made by the Noble Lord, the statement says that despite repeated warning, their attacks, that is the Houthis, have continued, and it says the Houthi intent to continue disrupting the Red Sea has not been fully diminished. As the Noble Lord just said, we've had drones, missiles, small boat assaults. There are many different methods. Does the government really believe the definition of fully diminished presumably would be stopped? Does the government believe that it can actually, by military means, stop the Houthi attacks?
I thank the Noble Baroness for her views. On the question of hyperbole, I mean, personally, I try never to use hyperbole. I think it doesn't, there's no way you can go from hyperbole. So I try to avoid that. I think on the question of diminishing the Houthis' ability to strike, I think we've seen that has been to some extent successful. We haven't had, certainly the frequency of strikes has reduced. The ferocity of strikes and the number of drones and missiles that they have been firing towards international shipping has also reduced. And while I take the point about as to when the freedom of navigation may have been enshrined in some form of law, and it's long been accepted that the freedom of the seas and the ability to trade from one country to the other is absolutely critical. On the question of the diplomatic efforts, I entirely agree. Military action is unlikely to achieve our aims, and I think that's always the case with anything like this. But it provides a level of commitment and a level of gravitas that hopefully makes any aggressor realise that there must be another way out. And I think from the amount of increased diplomatic engagement that we've been putting through, the Foreign Secretary's been there, he's going again, he's met his Iranian counterpart last week, and we also apply pressure not just bilaterally, but also through forums like the United Nations and that sort of thing. So there's a very broad diplomatic approach in trying to finish this matter.